maybe a little controversial, but my biggest pet peeve and a chore that I feel like I have to do daily is logging on to NoleGameday.com and editing Austin's terrible
Are you kidding me?
article.
You very, because this is painful.
Oh
When
my!
I first started, Dustin said he very rarely had to edit my articles compared to some other writers. I'm not going to name them.
I
It
lied.
was like, yeah, I was like, I know that's cap. I know
No,
that.
man, I
is.
lied that your articles were good.
No.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Man. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by NoleGameday. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka P-Dub, in the house. So we're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by NoleGameday. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by NoleGameday. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoleGameday.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoleGameday. We are here on Tuesday morning. We have a big commitment on the offensive line. With us this morning, we actually have Nate Greer, the big Discord man, our recruiting insider at NoleGameday.com with us, along with our lead writer and editor, Dustin Lewis, and our lead basketball writer, Austin Veazey. This is a lot of names to keep naming, but what's happening, guys? How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, at least you didn't forget Austin's name this time.
Yeah, we're making progress.
Nate, first time I texted you last week. I wanted you on the podcast.
Real quick. You sound kind of quiet, Nate. Speak up, boy.
Nah, man.
All right, hold up, Dustin. You can't talk to a father like that.
I meant to say man, but I said boy. So
Nah, man.
I'll correct myself.
I have to smack the shit out of you if I see you.
No, Dustin started getting his clout back because he's back on his hashtag follow for follow train on Twitter. So he's a little high. He's back on his high horse today.
That second ball put you in some bad decisions, man.
Dustin, you gonna show up to the tailgate?
Yeah. I mean, as long as we're having some food, you know me.
Exactly. Well, we actually have some pretty good stuff to talk about. Obviously, earlier this morning, 3-star offensive lineman Bryson Estes has committed to Florida State. FSU fans should be pretty happy. This is an offensive line commit. He takes FSU over the main competitor with Missouri. Looks like he'll be playing inside at the next level. Got to keep an eye on Georgia to make sure that he doesn't offer. But Nate, you've been kind of close with Estes for a lot of his recruitment. Give me your thoughts on the commitment and what you think he can bring to the field for FSU.
I think that it is a solid commitment for Florida State when you look at their board. He does offer versatility. He's a guy that can play inside or out. When you look at the fact he's only 6'3", I think that realistically he's only a inside guy because he doesn't have the long arms that a shorter tackle would need to have. But he's a guy that can play center. He's a guy that can play either guard spot for you. Florida State likes him. They've been on him for a while. When he was on his visit pre-COVID, he thought about making a decision then, but they did not offer at that time. If they would have offered him then, he would have made his commitment on that visit. So after that visit, the shutdown came. He was offered in early May, and when he was offered, that kind of put Florida State over the edge. He knew what he was going to do. He really did like Missouri. Their coaching staff did a great job recruiting him. Stayed in touch with him a lot. they've been there throughout his whole process, but it came down to proximity to home, FSU, and what Norvell and Coach Atkins are doing and what they plan to do at Florida State. He really likes how Atkins teaches. Atkins, for people who may not know, brought in a professional to teach him how to teach different people. So, for those who are in the business world, they know that not everyone is the same, and people act differently to different leadership. So, he spent a lot of time molding himself and how he can develop his people. So he knows as a coach that it's just not, I'm the coach, do it this way. He really wants to connect and build these guys up as much as he can. So that's something that Estes was sold on very, very early with Florida State. Now, when you look at him on the field as a product, is he an immediate guy? No, he's more of a second or third year contributor for Florida State. I do think that he would be a backup plan to Jake Slaughter if something happened with Florida. I don't see it at this time with Florida flipping him. Put it in the Discord that Jake Slaughter compared himself to Zane Herring and how they both grew up Florida fans, but Florida came in too late, and they had built a relationship with Florida State, and it was not going to happen. So, but I do think that is a possibility, slight, but I don't think it does. But Estes gives Florida State a little wiggle room in that he is rated as center on the recruiting sides, but he's a guy who probably played guard for Florida State. So, him and I have been chatting for a while. Put it in the Discord over the weekend. We knew this was coming. It was a long time coming. Once that commitment happened, once that offer happened, he knew where he was going to go. So he just kind of made it official. Coach Atkins did tell him to take his time, and I think he wanted to make sure he was comfortable. Not being able to take visits to the other schools probably helped Florida State's cause. I do think he will take some visits just to see what else is out there. And from what I understand, Coach Atkins has supported that decision and even is the one who told him that he should still take visits because he has not had the opportunity to see other schools to compare Florida State. So it's a solid commitment for FSU at a position of need. I think they need to continue to look at the tackle spot. That's where they are severely lacking, but they got a really good center, and they have a versatile interior lineman that can play either spot inside. So I believe this bumps FSU into the top 20 on the composite.
Sweet. Before we jump into, I want to let Dustin give his take too on the Estes commitment. But if you guys aren't in the Discord yet, I highly suggest you do. Nate has been giving great info along with Nico and Dustin, and they're Austin too on the basketball side of things. I'd try to throw some nuggets in there here and there. But if you're not in the Discord, you probably kind of got an idea about this Estes commitment a couple days ago. This is Tuesday morning, so you probably got a couple ideas of who it might be committing. We kind of hinted at it, but like I said, Nate has been the head guy on this commitment from Estes. So I highly suggest you join in the Discord. If you ever want the Discord, feel free to just tweet us or DM us on any kind of platform. We'll hit you guys with a link. It's free, and it's good information from these guys. But Dustin, what are your thoughts on the Estes commitment? And, obviously Florida State fans as a whole will probably have a good rest of their day this Tuesday.
Yeah, looking at Bryson on film, I mean, he's a very aggressive football player. He's good at having a low center of gravity, getting up under guys and providing a powerful punch to put them on their backs. And he's also athletic enough to be a pulling guard, which I think is an underrated skill for a lineman. Not everyone can pull out and be able to get to the defensive backs and things like that and get up to the next level. But just going back over to Alex Atkins real quick, I know Estes is a 3-star coming in, but really offensive linemen are the hardest position to evaluate coming out of high school. I mean, you see 5-stars bust all the time. You see 3-stars make the NFL level. You see guys that weren't even ranked, become all pros. And Alex Atkins, I mean, coming over from Charlotte, he's a great developer of talent on the offensive line. That's something we haven't really seen out of a Florida State offensive line recently. The talent never develops. I mean, you have highly rated guys coming in and then not really doing much in Tallahassee. I think that could change under Atkins. I mean, he just put Cameron Clark in the NFL just before he left Charlotte to come to Florida State, a guy he coached last season for the 49ers. And I think he's primed to do even more at Florida State with more talent in his hands. And this is just another piece of talent for him to mold.
Real quick, Nate, before we move on to the Norvell situation, Marvin Wilson, what do you think? You were kind of telling us a little bit earlier, and you interviewed, you've had a lot of communication with Estes. He kind of wanted to get his recruitment over with before the end of summer, but it's kind of early into the summer, obviously. Yeah. Do you think what do you think kind of happened there between FSU and Estes? Do you think he just kind of wanted to end it? He was tired of the recruitment process and people hammering him and text messages. I know you always tell us that these kids receive so many texts every week, but you think Bryson just kind of wanted to end it and call home to college?
I think that maybe played a little bit of a role. He does enjoy the recruiting process, but also the constant contact is a bear. And, when you're receiving hundreds of text messages a day, it's a lot to deal with. I think mainly it just came down to he's known for pretty much since he took the visit that he wanted to go to Florida State. The offer in early May kind of sealed it. And I think he just kind of wanted to take some visits to make sure. And when the dead period was extended through the end of July, I asked him then, hey, does this change your time frame? He said, probably. I don't know yet. I need to talk to my parents and see what happens. But I think when the July 31st end date of the dead period popped up a couple weeks ago, I think that was the end of his recruitment. He knew where he wanted to go. I just don't. I don't think it's that he wanted to wrap up the process, so to speak. I just think that he wanted to make it known that he's wanted to be a Seminole and that this is where he wants to go. And you hit on Georgia. You hit on Georgia a little bit earlier. He did grow up a Georgia fan. Our early conversations when he popped up on the radar as a recruit was very high on Georgia. Georgia right now has some high-hanging fruit, so to speak, they're going after. So I don't foresee them offering Bryson, but if they do that would be something to look and watch for. That would give FSU probably a major headache.
And yeah, real quick, I was just wondering, do you think Florida State's current momentum on the recruiting trail maybe had a factor in him deciding to go ahead and pull the trigger now?
Yeah, he's formed a really good relationship with Jake Slaughter. Those two guys are getting along very well. I think that he sees what's been going on with Florida State gaining some momentum. I think he just wants to be a part of that and wants to be a part of the guys who's helping to now build the class. Because he talks to guys who FSU has been actively recruiting. So while he was not been a commitment, he's been talking to guys like Chambray. While he's not a commitment, he's been talking to guys like John or Burrell. So I think that he just wanted to make it official. So,
Gotcha.
But he's a great kid. He really is happy to be a Nole. He's wanted to be a Nole for a while. He wanted to commit, I think, on that visit because he had such a great time. But it's hard to commit to your school if you don't have an offer.
Makes sense. So let's jump into the beef of the last week or so of FSU talk. Obviously, the Marvin Wilson situation with Mike Norvell and the statements that both sides have made. And they've come to a conclusion. It seems like the team has grown. I don't want to beat a dead horse here because I'm sure a lot of podcasts and sites and tweets and Discords, everything have blown up about it. But we've heard a lot about it. We know kind of what went down. It seems like a big major miscommunication. If you guys were in the Discord, I was up late trying to get some intel on what was going on. I actually talked to Tashawn Reed. Tashawn has been on this podcast. He's been on here a few times. I think he helped actually preview this last season with us. But Tashawn, I talked with Tashawn. He was the one that actually interviewed Mike Norvell, and this is where Mike Norvell made his statement that he had talked to every player regarding the George Floyd situation and the murder there, and also Mike Norvell stated that he talked to every single player. But there was a big miscommunication, if I can speak correctly, between that interview, Marvin Wilson, the rest of the team, and it sparked a whole conversation when Marvin Wilson tweeted saying that that's not what happened. Mike Norvell did not talk to every player involved and on the team, and so it kind of created a whole, huge thing on Twitter, and as it should. I think FSU fans get really worried about things, and it's FSU Twitter, and that's the usual thing. If you've been on that, kind of group the last 8 years, you know how things can blow up really quickly. But this happened at midnight, so I talked to Tashawn. He told me he had the voice recording of Mike Norvell saying it and everything, so it's completely true of what Mike Norvell stated in the interview to Tashawn. Okay, we get that. Obviously, in Marvin Wilson's tweet, he noted that there was not going to be players going to workouts. They will be standing back, and they'll be going on strike from going to the workouts. I was told while that was happening that players will be there, including a starting defensive player would be there in the morning no matter what for workouts. And then I talked to someone inside close to the football program, and they said that this was a generated message from Mike Norvell, which, I mean, everybody has learned about it now. If you're in the Discord, you would have learned about it first, but this was a generated message from Mike Norvell. And it was a message that would allow players to open up and express how they felt about the situation with George Floyd and the police brutality movement that's happening across the whole country and the world right now. And obviously talking to over 75 plus players is just not likely. That's not reality. So obviously Mike Norvell did not talk to every player. So there's a major miscommunication between Marvin Wilson and Mike Norvell. It seems like they were trying to handle that really late at night. Mike Norvell was up trying to talk with players along with Marvin Wilson. Once we hit the morning part of it, whenever they're going to start the meeting was held inside the IPF. They were granted access there because they were wearing masks. They were following the safety guidelines. There was a lot of rumors that there may be some boycotting going on, but from my side of things, and I think the rest of the NG staff here, we were getting word that everybody was in attendance. And then just a few minutes later, I learned why that was true, because Marvin Wilson, obviously Marvin Wilson, the player, the star, the leader on the team, actually advised them to come in and attend the meeting, and told them to go attend. Nobody should miss a meeting. Go attend Mike Norvell's meeting while he talked to the players and whatnot. So that meeting happened, and from what we heard later on throughout the rest of the day, it seemed like things went very well. As you're seeing now from interviews, and Marvin Wilson talked to the ACC network, he said that the team has grown closer to their position coaches, and I think also Mike Norvell too. I have a note here real quick until I get the takes from the rest of the guys, but I have a note here from a player immediately after the meeting saying, everything is straight. They had plans now to help fundraisers along with help the community, also younger guys trying to get to college that are in some poor poor communities, to help them and go out. Also, to hold everyone accountable to go vote is something that the player told me that they're going to try to do and make a movement there on the team. They said they've grown as a team and they're ready to get back to work. Norvell is their coach. They love their coach. They've liked what they've had from Mike Norvell once he's arrived the last couple of months. And they said that they've grown as a whole with one another. And they said they're super excited about the fall, and they want FSU fans to stay excited. Things are going well. So that's kind of the rundown of it, the timeline of everything. But if you guys want to give your takes on the whole situation, just pretty much it seems like the team has grown from this whole kind of miscommunication situation between Mike Norvell and Marvin Wilson, obviously the biggest star on the team.
I think, first of all, it's important to say it's good that these players have a voice and that they can make an impact just outside the locker room. But it's looking back on it, it's something I think I wish it would have been handled inside the locker room. It shouldn't have been something that made national media. I think this isn't like any inside information. I just think Marvin Wilson saw what was happening with Clemson, where the assistant coach called a player the N-word, and he didn't want the same thing happening with that, where it got swept under the rug for 3 or 4 years. I think that's kind of what he was going for there. But again, it's good he has this voice, but on the same hand, I kind of wish it was handled just inside the locker room.
Yeah, I agree with that. It definitely should have been something that was handled privately, but at the same time, I understand why Marvin Wilson wanted to handle it publicly, if that makes sense. But now it seems like everything's been resolved for the most part, and it did affect at least one recruit. We'll get into that in a little bit with some stuff from Nate.
So my reaction is a little bit, Florida State still moves the needle nationally. So, a team that's been 18-20 over the last 2 years is all over ESPN for 2 days. And like we talked about in our little Discord last night, that's where a lot of these kids get their news. When you talk about recruits, we'll talk about one here in a few minutes. So their perception of what is going on is what's being reported. But, Florida State still moves the needle. This was the first time the entire team was together due to COVID. So position groups have been sticking with each other. The team has not been in one room since everyone came back. So they had to kind of get permission to have this meeting. That was a little bit of a battle early in the morning. But this was the first time the team was actually together since they came back.
If they called it a protest, they could have met.
And I think what was really good was that Norvell took 100% ownership. He did not put out a half ownership statement. He stood up in front of that team and said, "Hey, I messed up. Everything Tashawn reported was correct, and how I said it was not correct, and I apologize for that." And I think that he did tell the players, "Now I have to earn your trust again." So I think him standing up in front of that team and putting it all out there, I think that the players kind of have a little bit more respect for him instead of just, like you said, sweeping it under the rug like what's going on at Clemson. I think the team's 1% better. On Conquer Talk, we had Kalen DeLoach's dad, Rob DeLoach, on our podcast that night, and he kind of gave us an inside view of what happened. He was actually not in the meeting, but he was up in Tallahassee when that was going on. The way he kind of told us was that before all this happened, there's been progress. The team has gotten better. There's been progression off the field, but now there's some motivation and there's some togetherness, saying that they're 1% better. And another thing was that this was the first time some of these parents got a chance to meet Norvell on that Zoom call that they had. Mm-hmm. So I think while publicly maybe could have been handled differently, like the other guys, I understand why he did it. But at the same time, what came out of it, I think it's a team that is a little bit more together. It's given a little bit of an opportunity for Norvell to reach out to family of the team, which he hasn't had before, having a spring practice and all that kind of stuff. So I think the end game is better for Florida State after all this happened.
And honestly, Norvell handled it pretty well.
Absolutely.
He the statement he gave was great. He's saying proud of Wilson for using his platform to do what's right. And like you said, taking ownership, I thought it was a great statement. But for him to handle this kind of pressure in a 12-hour time span, if that, I was fairly impressed by it.
Imagine if it was Willie Taggart.
Oh, Taggart, we'd still be waiting on a statement.
Oh, my. Dustin, did you have to say anything earlier? I think you're one to say, maybe?
No, but
okay. I have
moving on.
I was going to say I was going to say something real quick. Asante Samuel immediately, obviously, your starting corner, probably I mean, it's a CB1 heading into the fall. Spoke real quick on IG Live immediately after the meeting. They had a workout right at 10 a.m. The meeting was at 9. They had a workout at 10. This was at 11 a.m. Dante Lucas, Amari Gaynor, and others were also in the video. But Asante Samuel said it straight up. He said, "We're working, man. All that ESPN, man. We're working. Y'all are tripping. Don't believe everything you see." And that's how, I mean, media blows it up. I mean, we're also a media outlet. So, I mean, this is what we're supposed to talk about. Some media outlets take a little bit too far with things, obviously. But he's just saying it straight up. You know, what was handled as a family, we handled it as a family, soul family, and we grew from it pretty much. And, you know, tired of talking about it. Let's move on. I do think there was also, between players, too, I think there was a little bit of confusion between the players and also their teammate Marvin Wilson. They kind of weren't on the same page. I mean, this was at midnight, so kind of guys woke up to this. They're like, "Whoa, hold up, real quick," and obviously they were respecting Marvin Wilson and his opinion and everything. And so, like Nate said, this meeting was huge, and like Mr. Deloach said, you kind of grow more as a team and you become closer going through these kind of situations. But Asante Samuel, you know, he started seeing the media talk about it, and that was only a couple hours after the meeting. He's like, "Let's move on. Let's get to it. We're working. Everybody just shut up. Let's get going."
Correct.
So yeah, I think things are going to be fine, and just got to be careful on statements and stuff, and that, you know, everything goes everywhere now on Twitter and whatnot. And to Sean, he does a great job with writing. He now is covering the Raiders, and there was an interview straight up with Norvell, so there was no errors there, and things happen. But this team has gotten closer, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to see, and I think FSU fans should be fine. Things were handled quickly, but like Nate said, things go to national media and ESPN so quickly when it comes to FSU. We got a friggin' coach saying the N-word at Clemson, and we haven't heard a damn thing about it from ESPN. I mean, and that's, Jesus Christ.
Let's also, before we move on to that,
if that was here in Tallahassee, I guarantee it'd be written up at 3 a.m. It'd be written up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And there's nothing for them to talk about right now. So there's no sports. So everything is just beat to death on all the morning talk shows where they have to employ all these people to talk about the same shit over and over.
Yeah. It just, I mean, we'll jump real quick and give y'all's thoughts on the whole Dabo Swinney situation and his assistant to the head coach position, the guy there that said the N-word and all that. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Because I think everybody already knows about it. If you're on Twitter, you know. If you're on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to keep beating a dead horse. You already know what it is. But what are y'all's thoughts on, I mean, Dabo Swinney, he gets away with everything, and then he wears a shirt. I mean, if this was Mike Norvell, anybody, it would be all hell break loose in Tallahassee. You'd have reporters there in minutes. But Dabo Swinney wears a shirt while on vacation, or wherever the hell he is, wearing a shirt saying "Football Matters," while he knows he's getting shit on by Twitter and social media after his assistant coach and things before, and players calling him out and whatnot. But he decides to wear a "Footballs Matter" shirt in quotes on his little tee. What are y'all's thoughts on that, real quick?
Real quick, what kind of pompous asshole is on vacation right now? Adding to the Dabo hate.
Well, I think also FSC Twitter is doing their job right now. I think they're trying.
Fire Dabo is almost trending by now.
It was
trending in some states.
Yeah. Nate, any take on the Dabo Swinney?
My opinion is that it probably would have been washed aside had he just quickly moved on and terminated that coach. The fact that he hasn't said anything speaks volumes. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the guys who thinks that Dabo Swinney is a great used car salesman who has this great public persona, but behind the scenes is a typical college coach that was going to do anything to win football games. So this God-fearing man is a facade for me. I don't buy it. I think that the more he hesitates on responding and saying something, I know he said something today, which after 2 minutes I turned it off because it just made me want to vomit because it was so generic and I felt it wasn't from him. I felt it was probably generated from someone up in the Clemson University, PR, whatever, whatever you do to save your face. But I think the fact the guy's not fired yet, you have more players coming out and saying more. So where there's smoke, there's fire. I do think that something is awry there, but he could have cut it off by firing the coach and putting out a quick statement. He hasn't, which shows guilt for me.
Yeah, and in my opinion, how someone responds to a mistake is really what shows their true character. And like you said, Nate, the way Dabo is going about this is completely wrong. He should have fired that coach. He should have made more of a statement and probably some kind of commitment to help the community after. And the fact that he's doing nothing while sitting there on vacation, all this is going on,
and wearing the shirt. Come on now, wearing that.
Yeah, with the shirt.
Wearing that. That's so stupid, man. I mean, it's laughable. Like, I don't think about it all during the day, but now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, it's so ignorant. So ignorant.
What is he doing? So you see the way he's responding to it, and then and you had the Mike Norvell situation, which, I mean, isn't even close to as big, obviously, as what Dabo is doing with. And Mike Norvell, I mean, in my opinion, he made a very sincere apology, acknowledged what he did was wrong and how he spoke was wrong, and I don't know, made a commitment that Florida State's going to come out better out of this, and the team rallied around him. And I guess the team's kind of rallying around Dabo at Clemson right now, but like you said, Nate, it feels fake.
They're having to use Trevor Lawrence to save face for Dabo, which is
all he put was a heart. He quoted Dabo's the Dabo video thing with just an orange heart.
Well, he'd also tweeted something the other day. I don't have it in front of me, but he said something about Dabo not being racist and things like that. Yeah. But it's like...
Well, he said he's worn the shirt for months in meetings. Yeah. And people are like, NCAA violation. They've been having meetings.
It's one of the most tone-deaf things I think anybody could have done. And he's the head coach at a very successful program right now. And some people use the excuse, they're winning, so it doesn't matter. If this had happened to Jimbo in 2014, oh my God, we would have New York Times buying out hotels.
Oh yeah, they'd be scaped right outside the Bobby Bowden statue, right outside the Moore. I mean, that's how they were when Jameis said a few words outside the student union.
Yeah, and I mean, the last thing I want to do is bring religion into this whole thing, but I mean, you guys know Dabo Swinney is a very self-proclaimed Christian. Always talks about and praises God on television after Clemson's wins, things like that. But when it comes down to it, Christians are supposed to stand up for the people that are down. And what's he doing right now? Turning his back on them.
Yeah, and
so you can preach, but in the end, you got to reap what you sow.
He's no different than those TV televangelists who are worth $500 million because people sit there and give them money out the wazoo to sit there and talk about religion or whatever it is they do. He's the same kind of person. So I'm not a Dabo fan. He is number 2 on my all-time list.
Who's number 1?
Urban Meyer.
Yeah,
Urban Meyer. So
I'm kind of surprised it's not Spurrier, but
Spurrier is number 3.
Okay.
But Urban Meyer is like the ultimate in front of the camera on this, but behind the scenes, I'm just a complete and utter douchebag.
Oh yeah.
One of my greatest moments in my life was seeing him driving across the Howard Franklin Bridge in Tampa and me catching his attention and giving him the nice middle finger. That's one of my life moments. So,
is your wife near you? I'm making sure that she's not putting that in your top 3 or top 2.
I would have ran him off the road.
Yeah, right.
That's hilarious. Yeah, no, and real quick, there's another story now of a player saying that, all right, I'm not just going to say what it is and then get my reaction after because I do a bad job of that because I already start having fumes. But the player said that they were playing music inside the locker room. They were having recruits come visit, and it was having profanity all inside of the song. And supposedly, Dabo, I think I'm correct here, Dabo said, turn off that N-word music. It's too much N-word, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And that's a true thing also.
I don't want N-word this, N-word that playing when we have visitors here.
And he did not say,
players or parents, or however he said it.
And he didn't say it like we just did. He said the N-word. I went through high school football. I was a dumbass that was playing the hardest music ever with complete 100% cussing, and my coach made me do up downs. It was worth it though because we got hyped for games. But I was doing up downs and doing sled work for the rest of the evening, going into nighttime for saying and having profanity, blah blah blah. But just like coming from a D1 coach, recruiting well, blah blah blah, and that just kind of goes down, and you're talking to players like that. I don't know. Things are being hidden well. I don't know if Florida State's got to get on that level again. I mean, they never can because they're just going to get exploited by anybody, by national media, blah, blah, blah. But it's hidden very well in Clemson right now.
Clemson's in the middle of nowhere. No one can get there.
Well, dude, they're the same kind of thing is happening over at Iowa, and it's a much bigger deal than what's going on at Clemson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
regardless, I think it's...
their strength coach, right?
Yeah, the strength coach. But yeah. I think it's a good thing that this stuff is starting to come out amongst college football because these are the kind of people that we need to get out of the profession.
I've always felt that it was going to be a skeleton in the closet that was going to kill the Clemson run. And I think we're starting to see some of those skeletons come out.
Yep, I think so too. So enough of Dabo and that situation. We'll let the FSU Twitter. They're doing their thing. The Army's after them. We'll see what happens. So we'll keep an eye on it.
Fight the good fight, guys.
Exactly. So
fire Dabo after every tweet, please.
Exactly. No matter what the tweet is, this ice cream's good. Hashtag fire Dabo. Just like the hashtag blame Jameis was on everything. That was we could have a whole conversation about the meltdowns of FSU, and the PR there at FSU is in trouble too, but we won't get into that. Also, Jane Lars Woodby made a statement too today. I suggest you guys go check that out. Also, I think he's one of the biggest leaders on FSU's team too, and I think he's got a big career ahead of him. If it doesn't happen on football field, it's going to happen outside of the field. He's got everything set up for him after football is over. He's a good guy. But let's jump into Dustin. I think you were kind of leading us into what the Norvell situation and Marvin Wilson situation, what may lead into a guy that might not be picking FSU anymore, who might have been FSU lean for.
Before we talk about Jaden Lars Woodby, one potential impact of the whole Norvell scenario could be Florida State losing out on a potential four-star tight end Michael Trigg released his updated top 10 over the weekend, and Florida State was not amongst it after Trigg was supposedly a lean to be a Seminole in the future. Florida State was supposed to meet with Trigg on Monday night to, I guess, kind of discuss things and mull over the situation that occurred. And in the process, Florida State offered 2 tight ends on Monday night. So we'll see how things shake out. Nate, what have you heard about Trigg? Because I know you did personally speak with him and had some nuggets to put in the Discord.
Yes, I reached out to Trigg. I had been trying to reach out to him just to catch up with him for a normal update. And I asked him, hey, are you still looking at Florida State? And he sent me no, I am not, with a screenshot of the New York Post talking about the whole Norvell, Marvin Wilson thing, and said that this is crazy. And I put that in the Discord, and there were some disagreements if it was legitimate. I did not put the screenshot in. I put what the quote was from Trigg, and come to find out it was true. So again, if you jump in that Discord, you would have known a few days before his list came out. But contrary to some people believe, yes, Trigg was leaning towards FSU. They had done a very good job recruiting him. We'll see what happens this week. I'm not really going to look at 2 tight end offers and think that it's a done deal. I just think that it's a coaching staff with a plan, that if it doesn't go well, they'll move on. Does it suck to lose a guy that's a perfect fit for Norvell's offense? Absolutely. I'm a believer that Trigg is the best tight end in the country, and he's for sure the best tight end to come out of Florida since Nick O'Leary. He's that good. This could be hopefully the only negative impact from that whole situation, but more to come on that. I'm hoping to talk to Michael after that whole Zoom meeting happens. But right now, Florida State is out.
Any take on that, Dustin? Are you worried? Are you nervous about the tight end position or not?
I mean, Florida State does currently have Jackson West committed, who's a guy I think will rise up the recruiting rankings during his senior season, and they also have a pretty good shot to land Aaron Outley. So I think as long as Florida State gets 2 tight ends in this class, they'll be pretty set. If Trigg's available to get in the fold, I think they'll take 3. And they're still evaluating, so maybe there's another guy they like, and they can take 3 if they take less at another position. But really, in the end, it'll just end up being a numbers game. But I think they'll definitely take at least 2. So regardless if Trigg's here or not, I think Florida State will be okay. But it would be good to have him.
You cover recruiting for a while, and you kind of learn that these kids are reactionary. These kids are teenagers, and part of my gut tells me that this is a reactionary decision. Part doesn't have all of the details. I said it earlier, kids who just read and listen to ESPN form their opinions off what I feel is a biasness towards FSU. I think that does play a role. I do think that FSU will be able to mend some fences there. I think they're going to have to start from ground zero, though, and pretty much be a re-recruitment of Michael Trigg. I don't necessarily think it's over, but I think right now, when you look at the picture right now, I think that Florida State is not an option for Trey because that's what he said. But I don't think it's over.
Noles have offered 2021 three-star running back Trevion Hargrove. And he rushed 205 times for 1,537 yards, 20 touchdowns, 17 catches for 460 yards and 6 touchdowns in 2019. What are y'all's thoughts on this one?
I talked to him a little bit before this, before the podcast, and having an update coming with him. He's committed to Louisiana Tech. It is an in-state school. It was the only visit he took before the pandemic and everything was shut down. One reason why he committed it's close to home. He's number one on their board. He gets playing time quickly if he goes there. But he did tell me that his recruitment's far from over. Seeing now that programs like LSU are showing interest, South Carolina, Florida State, so more big-time schools that are seeing this kid's film are starting to show interest, and I think that's probably going to pull him off of that commitment. I mean, he rushed the ball 205 times, and he big play guy catching the ball, and he shared carries last year, so he was not a primary ball carrier. So he's a guy who took advantage of what he was given. He does line up at receiver a lot. He's going to, from what he tells me, he's going to play that a little bit more as a senior. He's very comfortable in the passing game. Admittedly, he needs to work on his blocking, but he feels like he's an all-around back. And when you look at what Norvell does with his offense, Gainwell was a monster as a freshman last year for Memphis, whether it was coming out of the backfield or he caught a ton of balls. And Hargrove kind of flashes that same kind of ability. He also runs track. So one common theme with this recruiting class is, Norvell likes athletes. He likes guys that are multiple sport guys. He runs 100, 200. He does the relays. He does the 60-meter indoor. He does long jump. He does high jump. So his film does not really show a guy who's a burner, but he told me that he runs in the 10s and the 100, which is plenty fast for a guy who's 5'11", 185.
Yeah.
So that's plenty of speed for a guy playing running back. So he's athletic. I think he's just another guy who probably would have burst on the scene during spring after what was an evaluation period. Now schools are just starting to find out about him. So he's completely new to the game of recruiting. I think this is a guy that will explode as fall and senior seasons happen. But he does not know a lot about Florida State. The first 2 phone calls from Coach Johnson, he ignored, not knowing who it was. Coach Johnson reached out to some people in his area and had the call set up. So now knowing who Coach Johnson is, he is very interested to learn more about Florida State.
Yeah, and I mean, he's a guy I really like. I got a chance to watch a little bit of his film, not a lot, before he got on here. And I do agree with what you said. He didn't really look like a burner on film, but he had enough speed to get away from guys at the high school level at least. And one thing I like about running backs is guys that run physically and break tackles and don't go down out of the first hit. This is exactly what he was doing. I watched him take a counter through the middle of the defense, and a guy hit him in the legs. He didn't go down. A guy came up high and hit him. He didn't go down. Another guy came up and hit him a little low, and he shook it off. And then he went up the sideline. Another guy came up. He stiff-armed him. Those are the kind of runners I like to watch. The guys that are really trying every time they touch the ball. And this guy's very physical. He's not going to go down at the first contact. I mean, you're going to have to get in his body to bring him down. You're not bringing him down by the leg. You're not grabbing his arm and he's falling down. He runs high. And like I said, he runs physical. Very powerful guy. I really like him.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's comfortable in the passing game, which is the evolution of college and pro now. You have to be able to catch very well and averaging over 20 yards a catch and a touchdown 33% of the time you catch the ball. That's I don't care if he's not a 4-4 guy. That's a guy who makes plays.
Yeah, and I watched one. He caught a screen out of the backfield, and then he had very good patience to kind of wait behind his offensive line to get the right the blocks, and then cut up and explode when it was the right time. And then there was another one where the quarterback was in the run out of the pocket, and he was able to get open over the middle, had to high point the ball, came down with it, and then just ran past everybody to the end zone. So like you said, very good hands, very adept in the passing game. And that's a skill that Norvell covets out of his running backs. I mean, like we have on the roster now, the versatility is insane, and that's just going to continue.
Yeah, if you go watch Gainwell, go watch his film, and if you go watch Hargrove, watch them back-to-back, you see a lot of similarities.
And we have a couple questions, too, from the Discord, too, that's going to talk about Norvell's offense, too, in the later bit of this.
Mm-hmm.
Lastly here, before we get into the top 3 worst segment, tonight we're going to go through the top 3 worst chores. We're going to give our picks between all of us here. But before we get to that segment, I kind of want to throw in some nuggets here. I've gotten some scoop here on a linebacker that I think a lot of people are expecting a lot of playing time from, and Jaleel McRae. He's actually down to 225 pounds. He was at 238 last season. Expected to stay at 225. He's going to play at the will position this upcoming season. He's going to be wearing number 14. And I think there's been a lot of talk, too, from players from what I've heard and from the inside. A lot of love for Coach Storms, man.
Mm-hmm.
I know Nate's probably heard it. Also Dustin. But, man, I mean, it's been crazy to see the transformation from some of these guys. I mean, he was at 238, went to 225, looks good. I was able to see how his transformation there. But he's going to go from Mike to Will. His secondary will go back to Mike. But from what I've heard, too, there's, you start getting a feeling now, this many months in with your new staff, you're starting to get a feeling on how it works, organization, the structure between coaches, position coaches, but it all starts from up top with under Mike Norvell. But the discipline factor that has changed so far is what players are liking the most, and that's where they think is going to change this team. And also, they're pretty damn excited about this season because of the change there at the discipline situation. It has been, I mean, I feel like some people hold their tongues on it, but it's been piss poor discipline the last couple of seasons. I've said it multiple times. I feel like I've said it on here a few times, and I've said it on interviews with Mark Rogers on his YouTube show. But man, the piss poor discipline has really caused this team a lot of troubles the last couple of seasons. Also, I've been told the turnover backpacks bye, but that was, as a recruit, some of the recruits said that they weren't really too impressed by that backpack thingy. But, I kind of just want to create a conversation here. Obviously, Jaleel McRae in linebacker position is one that's obviously need to step up along with the offensive line the last couple of seasons, for 4 years. But there's a lot of young cats that are coming in. But y'all give me y'all's thoughts on this linebacker position. Obviously, McRae, Deloach, Gaynor coming in. Steven Dix, a big hitter coming through. But, what maybe excites you the most about this linebacker position group?
They're going to be coached. They don't have a guy who's just a recruiter. You got to give props for Woody for flipping that linebacker room. When he got there, it was a utter disaster. So he's done a great job of getting guys to come. So, this staff has a lot of great pieces to work with. You look at, I think Emmett Rice did a great job the back end of last year and is set up to do really well this year. I think McRae was a little bit underutilized. In high school, you saw a guy who was comfortable dropping into coverage, was athletic enough to get sideline to sideline. I think he was too heavy last year, which shows of him being almost 240. I think that slowed him down. and he also did a great job last spring. So I expected more of him. I just think that it was part of the shit show that was Willie Taggart's era. So I think you look at a guy like Kalen DeLoach, who is being expected to take a next step for this fall. He's worked his tail off. He's another guy who's over 220 pounds, fits what this team likes to do at linebacker. You look at Glenn, who I think is a pace setter in the middle who's gonna knock you back, and he's also good enough to get silent on the sideline. And then you look at a guy I'm really excited about is DJ Lundy. He's probably my favorite recruit in this of these guys coming in.
You were close with him in his recruitment,
Yes. So not because of that, the fact that the guy is a 3-time state champion wrestler at heavyweight, wrestling at 220 to 240 pounds, wrestling guys up to 70 pounds heavier than him, and pinning them in 10 seconds. So
Dustin, would you have any chance in that? I'm just asking you real quick.
I might be able to get to 11. Maybe.
So if you don't know, in the state tournament this year, in an entire tournament, his wrestle time was like 2 minutes and 38 seconds. And his longest match went into the second round. So he's a guy who, the physical aspect is what I think the team is at, and that dog. Talk a lot about on the Unconquered Talk podcast about how there's no dog mentality, and I think some of these kids coming in are dogs. You mentioned Dix, who looks like a fifth-year senior. I expect big things of him. There's a lot of talent at that linebacker position, and I'm excited to see them being coached.
Yeah. Chris Marv, I think, is probably by far maybe my top coach that I'm excited about coming in. That's new coming into Tallahassee, and we've talked about it multiple times here on Here the Spear. But Chris Marv, I think, is probably eventually, before his coaching career is done, he'll be a head coach somewhere.
Absolutely.
Steven Dix looks like he just kind of just wants to hurt you. I mean, that's kind of the main goal, which is I'm right there with you. I know you guys talk about it on the Unconquered podcast, but I'm all about kids that just want to hurt somebody. I'm completely fine with that.
Yep. And Marv can strap on the helmet right now and go out and still play.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is good. And it gives a good image to the players that he's coaching.
Yep.
But yeah, that linebacker unit is something. There's a lot of young cats that are coming up, and definitely some young ones too. But it's time to start looking at DeLoach. We're talking about Glenn, obviously McRae. Gainer's going to come down. I think he's going to come down. He's going to be a big blitz factor too, and Adam Fuller's defense.
Yeah.
But real quick before we run into
Declan Brooks.
All right, let's move on to here. Dustin, why do you do that to me? I am trying to keep a civil podcast happening right now.
I like chaos.
I know you do. Yeah, you do. Real quick before we run into 3 worst chores segment. Real quick, from what I've heard, insight, and I've actually had this confirmed the last couple of weeks, but confirmed actually just 24 hours ago. Hamza Nasruddin is close to 100%. Since the team has been back, he has been working fully with the team and lifts, agility workouts, and other stuff too. But real quick from you guys, is Hamza Nasruddin going to be one of the best safeties in college football next season? I'm just asking you that, guys, right on the spot. But is Hamza Nasruddin going to be the one of the best top 5 safeties in college football next season?
It depends how they use him. If they use him as a strictly over-the-top safety, I don't think it's going to work well. But if they do how they've been the past couple of years, where they're playing him all over the field, in the box, kind of as a hybrid linebacker, I think it's going to work out perfectly for him.
I agree 100%. And I think you have to look at the mental part. Is he confident in that knee?
Yeah, that's true too.
Usually it takes a year to really be healthy, and it's not the physiology of the knee, it's the mentality part. That am I okay to stop and plant and get up and move? So is he mentally there? I think that's going to be the deciding factor.
Dustin, any takes here? Awfully silent.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with what these two guys said. I think as long as he can stay healthy, like Nate said, get over that mental hump of having a serious injury and working yourself back through it. He's primed for a big season. I mean, he's a very versatile athlete. He's a big hitter. He can defend the pass and come up and stick guys in the run. And I mean, he's the kind of guy you want on your defense.
Okay, well, real quick then, let's see if there's any disagreements here. Would Hamza Nasruddin, would he have gone pro if he didn't get hurt last season at the Florida game?
Yes.
I think he would have been a top 4 round pick.
Yeah, I would say 3rd or 4th round.
Okay. So yeah, he would have gotten paid. That's not bad then. Yeah, I also agree. I think that really kind of messed it up. But Florida State gets a really good grab. I mean, they bring back a 5-star line or safety with Hamza.
I think he would have went to the combine and killed it and got drafted in the 2nd round.
Yeah,
tackling. Got a couple 5-stars that came back. Hamza, Marvin, Tamorian.
It's kind of, you know what I kind of think about? I love watching him on the football field. When I'm in the stands watching him in Doak, it's so fun to watch because he just finds the ball. So, like, I'm thinking offensive, like a running back who has good eyes. I think on the other side, that's Hamza Nasruddin. He just is able to find, he kind of thinks ahead of where that blocking scheme is going to happen, and he knows where that running back, which pocket he's going to run to or which hole. It's just, that's an extra kind of talent that you usually don't get, which NFL scouts will find that when they're watching film and going through schemes and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's good to hear though. Hamza is close to 100%. He's been working out with the team. So if we hear anything more, we guys will give you some more insight on that in the Discord. But yeah, let's run into our top 3 worst segment here. The topic for today is going to be top 3 worst chores.
Maybe I'm just spitballing here, but we need to have maybe some elevator music to kind of intro this, and then kind of like an announcement thing, 3 worst chores.
Well, do you want me to edit that while I'm up till 2 a.m. on?
No, you can just for this time, just whoever's listening, imagine that happened. Bang.
Okay. So we'll have a weird noise for Dustin whenever we introduce this segment. We had a lot of listeners actually like this segment, so I think we're going to keep it going. Create a lot of good arguments here. But let's jump into it. Top 3 worst chores. Austin, do you have one ready?
I do. I don't know if it counts as much as a chore because it's not something you do regularly. Okay. But the first thing that came to mind was pressure washing.
Can't relate.
I had to do that a lot at my parents' house in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, my dad would make me do it every 2 months.
I told him to do it.
I tried.
Wow.
I hated it. Good Lord.
Wow. Pressure washing. Jesus.
Did your dad help you do the pressure washing?
I mean, occasionally, but...
What do you pressure wash? The house or the driveway?
Driveway, sidewalk.
Okay.
Sidewalk?
Yeah.
Dustin's that's way too far away from my home to do anything nice.
You don't own the sidewalk, right? The city does that.
I mean, if it's on your property, I think I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Nah, in some places it is part of your property, especially in deed restricted. If it's your sidewalk, you are responsible for it.
Oh, there we go.
There's answers there. Not
a real answer from a real adult.
I'm glad you answered that, Dustin. You're trying to save yourself from getting slapped at the tailgate after your comment right off the bat.
I forgot until you said something.
Yeah, you better. No, that's why I'm here. I'm trying to save you, Dustin. I need you. I need you to be here. I need you. All right, Nate, I think you're up next. The top 3 worst chores. You're up. And
You're
you're a father of two.
Oh, one at a time.
Yeah,
one at a time.
So I'm a father of two. So one at a time, not all three.
No, yeah, one at a time.
Okay. I hate folding socks.
Yeah, I had folding laundry as one of mine.
I have
socks.
You guys fold your socks?
Absolutely.
I just throw mine in the drawer, bro.
Oh my god.
I thought I just combine them both together and then I just throw them.
They're so small. What do you fold them for?
Listen, okay.
I think that
I'm with Nate on this one. You gotta fold the socks, man.
I fold the clothes because I like to fold clothes a certain way. So I like my underwear folded a certain way, or I like my shirts folded a certain way. So my wife does laundry, but I'll fold. But when you have two kids who lose socks all the time, you have probably 427 mismatched socks that are laying all over the house. So I hate folding socks.
I just do the combining both of them and then I throw them in the drawer. Is that what you do, Dustin?
No, I do. I legit just chuck them in there.
Wait, just two socks and you just throw them in there, not combined with them.
Well, here's how you get rid of that discrepancy where it just doesn't matter. I just have 10 pairs of the same socks. So whichever two socks I pull out, it don't matter.
I have so many different pairs of socks.
Me too.
See ya.
I just got classic black. I'm that guy.
If I could, I would wear a pair of underwear one time and throw it away.
I could do that and have a different pair of socks for probably a month and a half.
What did Justin just say? No, say it.
I don't want to know.
No, say it.
That's more pompous than Dabo.
There's something about fresh underwear, man.
I'm just glad that y'all aren't using what I already have ready. So hopefully Dustin doesn't use it. Dustin, you're up next. Go ahead.
I was gonna say vacuuming outside.
Vacuuming outside?
I have a back porch that's carpeted. So every now and then I have to go vacuum it because it gets leaves and shit in it. And the problem with the porch is it's got these the carpet's over wooden planks and the planks are all I guess old and shit. So whenever I go the vacuum over it, it'll get stuck on each plank and it's just a hassle.
I have never heard of this problem in my life.
I don't really do that many chores, so you're lucky I'm even participating.
You're gonna get Dustin riled up and he's gonna say something stupid.
Wait till we get to my worst chore.
He's gonna say something stupid where his girlfriend hears it or his mom is gonna hear it and he's gonna get completely cussed out by one of them. Well, Mama Lou is not gonna cuss him out. I love Mama Lou. Shout out to Mama Lou. But yeah, I've never heard of vacuuming a porch. I've heard of blowing it out. Yeah. But
just wait till you hear my worst chore, Austin.
I don't think we want to hear it. All right, I'm gonna go. My number one is doing the dishes.
Oh, you're number two. Oh, well, I guess it's number three. I don't know, bro.
It doesn't matter.
I'm going one, and I get my two, and we go back up. All right, so my number one is doing the dishes. So I used to have two dishwashers when I was little in my parents' house, and I had to do the dishes and then also empty the dishwasher while that was happening, and it lasted at least an hour. Because first of all, I spent 15 minutes to 20 minutes bitching about it, doing it. I kept on complaining and whatnot. So that caused me to get in trouble. So then I was already mad, and then the rest was just terrible. I mean, scrubbing stuff and also having to put it in places and let it dry and whatnot. I mean, that it just sucks. So I've had a terrible childhood of having to do dishes and emptying it from the dishwasher and whatnot. But right now I live with just one dishwasher, so I'm completely fine. So I don't get too mad about it.
All right,
I mean,
cool.
It's
Dustin obviously does not do the dishes.
Yeah, I mean, I do the dishes, but
I do the part where you wipe the water off of them, and I can put them in the machine thing and click the button.
The machine thing.
No, Nate needs to be the one talking here. Nate is someone we have to look up to, and he is married. He actually got married. So, Nate, who washes his dishes and who dries them and who puts them away?
So we
put them away.
So we use a thing called a dishwasher. We have 2 kids who will get a cup of apple juice, take 1 sip, and it will sit there for the rest of the day. So we'll go get another cup and we'll fill it full of milk, and then we'll let the milk sit there for 3 days in the bathroom, and then it turns curdled, and they want to bring it into the kitchen, and then they spill it. So then you have curdled milk.
You're kidding me.
So we do dishes every day. Long story short, so our dishwasher runs. We usually run it in the morning, and whoever gets home first empties it and refills it back up.
Yeah, Dustin wouldn't remember how to do that or when to do that. Dustin, if you were Nate's kid, you would have been kicked out between probably the first 48 hours, probably the first 24 after you called him a boy.
If I was Nate's kid, I'd probably be dead.
Nah.
He would beat my ass, dude.
Nate's not gonna say anything, but he's just nodding there, like yeah.
Yes.
Yes. See you at the tailgate. Anyways, all right. My number 2 is simple, and y'all probably give me heat for it, but I mean, I'm the dingbat that is like will continue to put the trash down, but taking the trash out, I think that's number 2 on my list. Dude. I just continue to pack it in. I keep packing it in. Until it's completely overboard. There's water dripping out of holes at the bottom. It's whenever I take the trash out. I feel like that's just one that I really don't want to do. I really don't have time for it. I don't want to go outside. It's probably raining. I just don't want to do it.
Can't relate.
That's why you just hang all your Natty Ice boxes on the wall instead of throwing them away.
Yeah. Damn, that's tough. I did get a few critics on IG Live. They did roast me today. But, while I am recording, I do have one in my hand, but it makes for a better conversation, Austin. You don't hang up your chocolate milk cartons up on your wall, do you? No comment. Good to know. Perfect. Dustin, you're up next. What is one of your top 3 worst chores?
Number 2 would literally have to be number 2. Cleaning the toilet, especially after a couple weeks. Not my favorite activity. Especially because now we have it's just me and my girlfriend. I don't have a kid, thankfully, yet. But we have 2 toilets in the house. One's hers, one mine. That means I'm responsible for my own toilet bowl, and like we've talked about already, I'm not really responsible as it. So. I want to get into the nitty gritty, but.
So I love how you say that you have to clean the bowl after you go number 2 immediately, right?
I didn't say I didn't say immediately.
Well,
but if it's been a couple weeks, it could be a little bit of a hassle in there.
Okay.
Take that as you will.
I don't think anyone wants to keep thinking about it, honestly.
My number 1 chore is going to be worse, I'm telling you guys.
I can't wait to get to it. Not. Nate, what's your next one, number 2, top 3 worst chore?
Putting shit together. I am not the person to put together furniture. I'll do it, but I cuss the entire time. I have 0 patience for it. So I'm not looking forward to putting together the dresser we got today from IKEA. I know it's going to take 4 hours because I hate doing it. So, yeah, I hate putting shit together.
There's always a missing piece.
Yes.
There's always one really important piece that you cannot find.
Or one extra screw, and you're like, fuck, where does this go? If it falls apart, it falls apart. Yeah.
That is true. Do you ever read the pamphlet?
Yeah. I have to.
I
am not very mechanically inclined.
Do you ever Is it also the part that you hate this chore because you take criticism from the others around you while they give you, heat and trash talk you while you're putting it together, but they're not even helping you while you're putting the shit together?
What's it taking so long for?
Yep. Have you all ever seen the Bill Burr comedy bit where he was talking about putting together furniture and arguing with his girlfriend about, I bought the fucking thing, I'll go buy 10 if I need to. Just the frustration that it is of putting together furniture while you have a side seat driver the whole time. It's not fun.
I've seen that, and I do agree with you. Although I do not have a spouse with me, or even a girlfriend. Or Dustin, sorry, Austin, I almost said that you had a girlfriend.
Hey, I wish.
He's got his hand. Lefty and righty.
Wait, Dustin.
Amala Henderson.
Oh my God.
Wait till I get to my worst chore, Austin.
I don't want to know. But okay, Dustin just proclaimed
Coming
that.
For you.
Damn, Jesus! What did Austin do to you? He's your basketball mate. Anyway,
no, seriously.
God.
To me about my first chore.
Dustin comes right after you. Anyways, I just need to proclaim and put out there and state that Dustin said that Austin's girlfriend is his right hand or left hand, whatever it is. Austin, what is your second top 3 worst chore to do?
I already said it earlier. It's folding laundry. I don't know what it is about it. I don't have the attention span for it, and it'll just sit in my room forever until I finally get the motivation to do it.
I kind of agree. I'll keep it in the hamper for a little while, and it'll probably a little while means 2 days.
I can't stand it.
Yeah, it's like it can be done in 10 minutes, but I feel like there's like that 10 minutes I could be utilizing where I could probably save the world in those 10 minutes. Like I'd rather do that than.
I usually just spend those 10 minutes sleeping. That seems like a better use of my 10 minutes than folding laundry.
Yeah. By the way, I can't wait for you to go to work in the morning. We're up here at 12:30.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
I hate everyone.
Well, Nate's in kind of the same boat. He was on his off day and he came on the podcast, but somehow he got stuck into this. But you know what? Nate is laughing. He's having a good time, so he can't complain.
Correct.
Exactly. And
work on Wednesday morning will be tough, Austin.
Exactly. All right, Austin, you give us our third now. You're going back down.
Yeah, and it's also another similar one. One that's already been said. Just cleaning the bathroom in general.
Oh, okay.
Just the tub, sink, everything. It just gets so nasty and grimy in there if you don't keep it up. Which I'll be honest, I'm not the best at. But it's just,
no wonder those Tinder dates haven't been staying over longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep going.
That's it. That's it. Yep. That's it. I completely agree. Clean the bathroom, I don't want to do because the bowl, like if you don't scrub that every friggin' week, it feels like you have a whole different tattoo around the bowl of the toilet, and I mean, it's so damn annoying. I mean, I don't understand it, but it just grows and it looks nasty. And then you got to go to the floor. I mean, I'm just a guy. I have my own bathroom, so like I have stuff on the ground. I'm not going to say anymore. No. But you just got to clean up really well and vacuum, and it's just too much work. And then your toothpaste hits the mirror, so you got to wipe that off. After a while, it's a lot of work. And I know I don't even want to look at Dustin's bathroom. I don't know about you, Nate, but I don't even want to look at Dustin's bathroom from what we've heard about his cleaning.
Based off what it's probably got like 2-week-old McDonald's bags and shit in there, you know.
In the bathroom.
I think
that's Austin's house.
Oh, Jesus. Austin's going to stay silent for the rest of this.
I literally hate everybody. I don't know why I'm still here.
Here's the deal. I've met Austin and Nate both in person. Dustin hasn't yet. So once he meets both of y'all in person, I can't wait. Someone's got to give him a pop. Please.
What did I do? Nate started it.
He did kind
I
of.
just deflected.
I would say more of Whataburger bags in Dustin's bathroom, but that's it. That's all.
I don't have. Let's clarify. I don't have any bags in my bathroom.
Okay.
What would they be in there for?
Because you're
I mean, a trash bag.
because you are flying high, and it's too lazy to throw in the trash. So fuck it, I'll throw it in here. I'll get it in the morning, and then one turns into two. A week later, you got a melted Whataburger cup on your kitchen counter.
That's an interesting theory.
I think it's a good thing.
Hey, I was in college too at one time. I know how it goes.
I'm not in college, bro. I don't know. I graduated.
He was there for 6 years. He's not anymore.
Yeah, I love how he's trying to put that out there. Mother effer, you've been in there for a good while. Yeah, you better laugh. Nate, you're up next. What do you got? Your last one, top 3 worst chores.
I would say I hate bringing the trash in from outside. The empty.
That's not bad.
Like the recycle and the empty trash. I'll let it sit there for 2 days before I bring it in.
That's your number one worst chore?
No, that's number 3. I wouldn't order. Well, number 1 socks, man.
Oh, we went 3-1.
Yeah.
I didn't really have an order to mine, so.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, man.
Just get it out there.
That's my easiest chore.
I hate it.
I mean, I'll leave it down there for a couple days too.
That and checking the mail. I just can't stand it. I hate it.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, Monday there's 7 things in there, and you go out on Tuesday and there's nothing.
Dude,
what you're gonna get.
My mailbox is like 500 feet away, so and right now it's 200 degrees outside. So
yeah, my mailbox is down the street.
I hate it.
Dude, I don't even check the mail. I give it 2 weeks, and maybe 3 weeks, and I do check the mail. I don't check it that much. I'm not getting really anything important. Yeah, I'm not getting any Clemson offers from Dabo, sadly, in my mailbox.
Damn.
So, but yeah, I just kind of had to dismiss those during my high school career. I was getting too many mail, too much mail from Clemson, Texas, Alabama. So I kind of had to cut them off, Nate. It kind of got old after a while.
You were probably running out to your mailbox hoping someone's in there.
Yeah.
TCC, yes. Finally.
You mother effer. You know what, Nate? Next tailgate. I'll give you a beer. How about that? All right, hold up. Dustin, you're up next. All right, this is the one that he keeps on hyping up. What's your third one that Dustin said that Austin should be worried about?
All right, this one's a little nasty.
So what's your worst thing here? Is that it? Editing Austin's articles is your top 3 worst chore.
When all he has to do is slap on a picture and send it.
It is pretty funny though.
My number 1 worst chore is, having to tell my girlfriend to do all the other chores.
I don't know which one of these you're leaving in.
I'm leaving this one so he gets trouble when he's at home. Yeah. Wow. So your top
editable podcast.
Yeah, this is all raw. So Dustin just stated that his top 3, his number 1 top chore that he hates the most is telling his girlfriend to do this. Start of doing that. Wow.
And editing Austin.
And editing Austin's posts. Wow. I mean, you're coming
when he does decide to write something.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold up. Now, Dustin, what are you doing now? I'm going to keep Austin at NoleGameday.com. You need to shut your big old mouth. It's all because of follow for follows that he's put out on Twitter, Austin.
Austin came at me first. I don't start a fight, but
What? Hold up.
They're going to have to handle DMs. I feel like this is some kind of Discord argument. Y'all
He was mad I didn't fold my socks. He got mad about my vacuuming outside. That's it.
I didn't get mad at either. I'm just saying I can't believe those are chores.
Wow.
Hard life, man. It's a hard life.
It's tough. My top three. So one of mine in the top three is probably honestly going to be doing yard work. So I feel like definitely in Florida, stuff grows immediately. It grows quick. Everything's going up. It's terrible. You cut it, and then immediately it goes up. It's terrible. So keeping the yard looking good, make the neighbors happy. I'm always outside, and the neighbors look at me. They talk at me. I'm in college. My roommate's in college, but they're always looking at me. They look at me disgusted because we have a couple ferns that are way too high, blah, 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 blah. But I feel like hard work is trouble. I mean, it's not like I'm vacuuming my porch like Dustin is, but I feel like keeping up yard work is a hassle sometimes. Is that not a hassle, Nate?
It's part of my package of rent. I don't do yard work.
Okay. You let other people do it.
Yes.
Okay.
I hate yard work though. That would be on my list if I had to do that. I did it enough as a kid.
Yep, exactly. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah, in Florida it's pretty bad. Up here, at least where I live in North Carolina, the grass just does not grow unless it rains. So we only mow the grass like once every 3 weeks. So it doesn't bother me that much.
Okay.
I just enjoy letting my neighbor's property value plummet.
Dude, Dustin's asking for everything in this episode. Yeah. And I hope we get the most listens that we've had in a couple months from this episode. We should. Nate Greer is on here, so we better keep blowing up right here with listens. But yeah, that's going to finish off the top 3 worst segments of chores. We're going to continue this segment starting next week, like Dustin said and suggested. I'm going to put in some weird noise before we start the segment, so be, I guess, a little bit more intriguing. I don't know. But Austin, you're in here. Obviously, there's been a big discussion inside the Discord, inside the Basketball Recruiting Nuggets channel regarding Moussa Cisse, the 5-star center, basketball recruit. Is there any updates there regarding, maybe some play there between FSU, LSU, Memphis, and others?
Yeah, so he was supposed to commit end of last week after he reclassified. Good Lord.
What was that?
Nate.
I think it might be Nate's headset.
Yeah.
I'm not even moving.
There you go. I don't know. It went into that zapping thing that happened in the Batcave last night.
Okay.
But you're clear now. You're good.
All right, so I'll just restart. Yeah, Moussa Cisse was supposed to commit end of last week after he reclassified. He moved his commitment back to some unannounced date because of what he says is the social situation going on in America. It's a great reason. His voice needs to be heard, but it's not his time right now. But it was also coincidentally right after Dick Vitale said LSU is about to get hit with a notice of allegations. Oklahoma State just got theirs. Louisville got theirs a few weeks ago, if not a month ago. And a lot of analysts said that if he hasn't committed by the end of the weekend or early this week, that they might start changing their predictions. Florida State's long been in that top 2, top 3. Apparently, he's cut his list privately to 3 schools, whatever those 3 schools are. I think it's going to be LSU, FSU, Memphis, with maybe Kentucky. But it seems like an LSU-FSU race. It's kind of what we're hearing from everybody. But it's a very quiet recruitment, which is rare for a guy that's a top 10 player. I've reached out to literally everyone I can that would have information, and everyone's like, it's literally just him and his high school coach. That's all they know right now.
Is the Dick Vitale thing credible? With like we haven't heard a lot because LSU said that they've kind of shot it down.
Yeah, so their senior athletic director said they hadn't gotten their notice of allegations, and apparently the NCAA has an inquiry out on the football team as well, and I think they want to deliver both at the same time. It's no secret that LSU basketball is getting their notice of allegations sooner rather than later. It's just not sitting on the desk or on the fax machine as we speak. It's certainly something to monitor. And I do think it's making Cisse reconsider. He has great relationships with that staff. that could stem back years. His handlers and that staff have a great relationship. And that's kind of what national analysts are saying as well. You know, that relationship's, even if LSU gets hit with penalties, that relationship's so strong that it may not matter.
You ever think about him going to the G League?
It's weird because, you know, some of these other big-time prospects that have made the jump to the G League have, when they've announced their final schools, they've included the G League.
Yeah.
When Chise announced his top 6, he didn't have the G League in there. He said a few times he wants to play in college and have the college experience.
Mm-hmm.
But to that point, if he does want the college experience, why go to LSU when they're probably going to get hit with the postseason ban?
Correct.
It's a really weird recruitment. I've never seen recruitment like this, one that's so quiet, and we're standing in June when the signing period began in mid-April. I think he's going to get a G League offer if he doesn't already have one. I know it was rumored he did, but it was never confirmed. He's probably going to get the G League offer, especially if LSU does get hit with penalties. Probably like Cade Cunningham got with Oklahoma State. I don't know if he'll take it. It's really up in the air. I don't think he would, though.
So if you guys are in our Discord, we put out a message saying, hey, throw us some questions. And we got quite a few here also, one from Twitter. I think Dustin got one. But if you're in our Discord, I think we're going to do this maybe weekly whenever we get on here and answer your questions straight from the Discord. It blew up here, but we got quite a bit. So we'll run through these kind of quickly, but we'll try to throw a lot of intel in here. But straight from Twitter here, I think this came from Dustin's maybe. This is from FSU Garnet Gold. And he asked, what are you guys' most wanted recruits for this cycle?
I'll go first. So I got 11 guys who I would want. If FSU could get anyone, of course, number one would be Amarius Mims, tackle. Payson, that may happen. Keon Coleman, I'm a big fan of his game. He's a guy that averages 35 yards a catch, and a guy that averages a touchdown every other catch. So he's a huge, big-time playmaker, a guy who can stretch the field. I look at Lee Hunter, guy who can come in, plug the middle. Terry and Arnold, I think his game is just developing. He's going to be a better college player than he is at high school. Then you look at James Williams down in Miami area, down South Florida. I think he's the best safety since Derwin to come out of Florida. J.C. Latham, need all the help on the offensive line you can get. Dylan Brooks is a pass rusher. Brian Thomas, a wide receiver from Louisiana. If you have not watched his film, go watch his film. He's phenomenal. Really fun to watch. And then Bram Walden, going over to, from Arizona, he's going to Oregon. His film is some of the funnest to watch. He's probably the meanest offensive lineman in the country. His film is just 10 minutes of blow black, pancakes, just annihilating people.
And yeah, piggybacking off of Nate a little bit, I would say two guys I want to see in Florida State's class that are realistic options. Terry and Arnold, who he mentioned, and also Amari Harvey, who I think is another really talented safety in this class, a guy that's a hard hitter. I'm a little biased because both these guys played at Florida High in Tallahassee. That's where I went to high school. Amari's still there. Terrian went literally right across the road to JP2. I think it'd be really big for Norvell to land both these guys right out of the 850 to really not even jumpstart, continue the momentum of this 2021 class. It'd be big to keep the local guys home, especially two guys that are as talented as them.
And since I'm a more basketball guy, I'll mention a couple of basketball recruits. We've already talked about Chise. Obviously, everybody wants him. If he could land for this cycle, that'd be great. They're kind of already looking for 2021, though, and I think the one guy I'd really love Florida State to land is Michael Foster out of Hillcrest Prep in Arizona. He's a guy that's been mentioned to me for about a year now that is really interested in Florida State, and Florida State's matching that same interest. I seriously wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Tallahassee. Very natural scorer for a big man. He needs to work on his perimeter game a little bit, but He's a very talented player, and it's another one of those guys that if he came to town, it has to be like, yep, that's a Leonard Hamilton guy. And if he's a top 8 recruit right now, he'd be brilliant under Leonard Hamilton.
Great stuff. This is the next question from VA Nole 90 from our Discord. He asks, or she, with the practice schedule finally official by the NCAA, who would you put money on starting at quarterback come the West Virginia game in Atlanta? Let's give our thoughts. What do you guys got?
It's hard to go against Blackman. I know a lot of people have seen enough of him. But it's hard to go against that experience in an offseason where they've had no time to get on field, training in, hardly any practice. I think Purdy is going to have a great opportunity to at least definitely get that number 2 spot instead of Rodemaker. But it's hard to bet against Blackman where we sit right now on Tuesday morning.
If I had to put money on it, I would put Blackman as a starter, but I don't think that he's going to have a very long leash. One of our questions here is about Norvell's offense. He does not fit what Norvell likes to do in terms of accuracy, quick decisions. I don't think he fits Norvell's offense, but I do agree with what Austin said in terms of the lack of preseason, and using a guy that has 2 years of starting experience will be the guy going into the first game.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you guys. I think Blackman is going to open the season as a starter if he holds a job throughout 2020. That's just something we'll have to see based on his play. But I do think, you said he's not really a great fit for Norvell's system. I think one reason he didn't look that good last year was he just really wasn't confident in what Taggart wanted to do on that offense. He wasn't confident in that offensive line. I mean, you could see it on a lot of plays. He would rush passes because, he knew he was going to get hit no matter what. Yeah. So he just had to get the ball out and hope for the best. And I think in this system where Norvell will kind of be able to tailor the offensive line, even though they're not as good as you want them to be, he'll be able to put Blackman in better positions where he's not getting hit as much, his confidence isn't as down as much, things like that. And they'll be able to call the plays that fit his play style.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I was putting any money on it, like the rest of the guys, James Blackman should be the starter in West Virginia. Most experience. This is something that we've never seen before, but no spring ball happening. We were thinking that Tate Rodemaker would get a little bit of playing time definitely in the spring game and try to work some reps with some guys and wide receivers, but that really hasn't been the case. It's a lot different feeling when you got guys with pads coming on you rather than running in the IPF and doing 7-on-7s and blah, blah, blah at 10 o'clock at night. So James Blackman, I think he's your expected starter for West Virginia. That was pretty much the question there. Could there be a chance where Purdy starts in a game, or I think it's Purdy over to Tate Rodemaker? That's another discussion for another day. But I think straight from this question, I think you got to expect James Blackman to be that starter in West Virginia. He has the most experience. He has the most playing time with Tamaron Terry, DJ Matthews. He's got a lot of wide receiver talent there. Mm-hmm. He probably knows what to expect he knows what to expect from this offensive line. I really don't like what happened last year with Kendall Briles and Willie Taggart with switching off Hornibrook and James Blackman, doing that whole kind of cycle there and confusing. That changes the routes for wide receiver plays. You're going from a right-handed player to a left-handed quarterback. It was a complete shit show. It's embarrassing across the country of what happened. That's not how Florida State should be ran offensively, but it showed on national television. It was a terrible idea, and it showed how James Blackman lost a lot of his confidence and whatnot. But yeah, James Blackman, starter, West Virginia. I have 250 push-ups on it. On Mark Rogers' show, I said James Blackman's going to be the starter. So if he doesn't start, I have 250 push-ups I got to do on live on YouTube, and that's going to be really embarrassing because I don't know if I can do all those right now. Let's see. The next question comes from definitely not Bud Elliott from our Discord. He says, is this Odell's last year? So he's talking about Odell Higgins, a defensive tackle coach for FSU. Is this Odell's last year, guys?
I think it is. coming off the knee surgery, coming off a couple stints as an interim guy. He's been at Florida State since forever. I don't think he's someone that wants to leave FSU in the position it's at now. But I just think that his time has come. I think he is there for a year to help the transition of Norvell coming over. I just think he's done. I think he should bow out gracefully. He deserves a statue at Florida State for everything he's done. But I think it's time for him to retire and go fish every day.
Yeah, I think it's up in the air. Like you said, his surgery has definitely got to be weighing on him a little bit. And I mean, he's put a lot of effort in over the last couple of years. Odell is a true Florida State Seminole. I mean, I remember being there for his press conference, the first interim game he took over after Jimbo went to Texas A&M. And man, just the passion he spoke with, how he feels about Tallahassee, Florida State, and just the whole community, all the players that he treats like they're his own sons. I mean, if it's his last year or not, Odell should be able to make his own decision, and he'll make the best decision for himself, whether that's continuing to coach or, like you said, going to fish.
On to the next question from Discord. This is coming from Ramrod77. Asks, can you cover how Norvell schemes around his players? An example, different style quarterbacks, or maybe a struggling bad offensive line. Maybe use some examples from Memphis or Arizona State.
So I'll go. We talked a little bit about this when he was hired before. When Unconquered talking about what he's known for, and that is a guy who is a creative play caller, and a lot of people think is one of the smartest offensive coaches out there right now. So you look at what he has been able to do. You go back to Arizona State, his first 2 years there, his offense was pass heavy at 57.1% passing offense. And that's because he had some experience at quarterback and some playmakers out wide. His second 2 years, that flipped to a 51% running offense, and that's when they had Manny Wilkins, who I believe was a freshman starter for Arizona State. So, shows right there that he fits his offense into what he has at quarterback. His offense is predicated on having a guy who can read the defense early. He needs a quarterback that is accurate and can get rid of the ball very quickly, which is why I think James Blackman would struggle in his offense. And you look at adjustments that he's made when Memphis played UCF in 2018 for the conference title game. He ran Wildcat 24 times. And that 24 times, he had 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. A lot of chunk plays were in that game. But, when you run Wildcat, that puts 7 guys in the box for the defense. And they ran a lot of outside zone, and they had a ton of big holes. So, their UCF didn't really adjust very well. They stayed in their base defense, and Norvell kept taking what he saw. So again, here's a guy who looks at what the defense is gonna play, and he dictates his offense based on what the defense is gonna do. So, quarterback issues, ran Wildcat 24 plays. Yeah, they lost the game, but I think they scored like 52 points. He's not afraid to call what he sees, which is very, very intriguing. His offense, tight ends 30% of the time, which we talked about earlier. I think getting Wilson from UCLA is very big for this offense because while he is not a necessarily a pass catcher. He's really good at blocking, and that's what Norvell likes to do with his tight ends, whether they are lining up as an H-back or they're inline tight end. He pulls tight ends in the run game. He does a lot of stuff with his tight ends to kind of help manufacture some blocking up front. His offense is a run-based heavy spread. If you watch what he does, I watch a lot of Memphis tape. Really, it comes down to three things. Either he's going to run the ball straightforward, he's going to do an RPO, or he's going to be a play-action pass. But what he does a great job of the smoke and mirror, so to speak, of different formations. He uses the tight end to really spread that offense out, and so the defense has a lot more surface to cover. He likes to put 7 in the box, and that puts 4 guys covering 3. So you miss a tackle on Tamari and Terry, he's probably going for 6. He does a really good job of scheming his playmakers open in space. So that's not a number advantage. So 3 guys versus 4 in the defense. So that doesn't mean that defense has upper hand there. That means that in a 52-yard wide field, the guy misses a tackle, you can forget about it. When a defense starts to kind of worry about that extra guy up front, creating gaps from the tight end, that's when he likes to go above you. It becomes a 2-man game. When you say 2-man game, that's with a 1-read, quick decision offense. And that's where, if you watch Chuba Purdy, does very well. If you watch Luke Altmaier, does that really, really, really well with his offense right now in high school. You need a QB that can, like I said, read pre-snap, and a guy who's accurate. But he's had offenses that are running back heavy, so he's going to run 21 personnel a lot. And he's had an offense that are really good out wide with a good quarterback and good receivers. So he runs 11 personnel. He is not afraid to switch it up on these defenses. So, his running game, he runs inside, outside zone. He runs wide zone, split zone. Does even power. He does counter. So, where some offenses are straight inside run, he does it all. So you're looking at 5-6 different kinds of ways to run the ball for him to attack a defense. At Arizona State, over the 4 years he was there, they averaged 40 points per game and almost 500 yards of offense. Guy gets it done. I do like how, if you watch tight ends, again, I said it before and I'll say it again, they're very crucial to the run game. He'll pull guards, he pulls tackles, he pulls tight ends. It's all about different formations. And he likes the pistol, he likes the shotgun split. He's not afraid to try different things, but he likes to outflank the defense, and he likes to pretty much beat the shit out of defenses. One more thing, his quarterback makes those easy throws. He does make it a 1-read offense for the quarterback, so he does take away the really Jim official offense where you have to process so much. He makes it very easy for his quarterbacks.
Some great insight there from Nate. Like I said, you guys should definitely hit up the Discord, and whenever we're asking questions, definitely throw them in here for next week's episode. Next question here is from True_Nole22, asks, what's your starting 5 at O-line if the season started today? So any takers on that one, as in the offensive line is probably going to be shifted around just a little bit, but what are your guys' takes on who might be the starting offensive line if they were named today with the incoming freshman already here?
I'll just start off. I'll just say from left to right. Geez. Darius Washington at left tackle, Dante Lucas at left guard, Bavion Johnson at center, Brady Scott at right guard, and then FIU grad transfer Devontae Love Taylor at right tackle. I've been flip-flopping between Johnson and Baselli at center, but I've heard some stuff recently that really makes me think Johnson is going to step up and take the job.
I kind of feel you there.
I agree that would be the 5, but I would flip Scott and Love Taylor. I put Scott at tackle. I would put Love Taylor inside at guard.
Interesting.
For the next question here, we've got. This is a good one. This is from VA Nole 90. With a deep backfield and a new scheme, who would you expect to be given the most touches, rushing and receiving, and the new offense under Mike Norvell and Dillingham?
I think it's Kalen LeBourne's job to lose. There's always been the thought process of if he's not the starter, he's going to leave. So I don't think he's going to have the opportunity going into a truncated camp. Not having spring, I think, is beneficial for Florida State, but I think he's a guy who's built for Norvell's offense. He's very comfortable lining up out wide in the slot. He's comfortable coming out of the backfield catching the ball. He's a good runner. I think that the injury set him back. I think some of the off-field stuff with him has set him back in terms of maximizing his potential. He sat behind Cam, and for good reason. He's not the runner that Cam is, even though they're both 5 stars coming in. I just think they're also different kind of running backs. I think that if he can keep his shit straight, I think he can do very well in this offense. I think he would be a primary guy. Where in guys like Webb and you throw in a Corey Wren on a jet sweep or something like that. But I think LeBourne could be your primary guy.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Kalon LeBourne and Jashawn Corbin at the top of that rotation. Both of those guys coming off some injuries last year. Corbin had the hamstring. LeBourne, I think it's 3 surgeries on the same knee now.
Yeah.
So really, it's going to be up to them to stay durable. And like you said, Nate, if not, you've still got guys like Anthony Grant and Corey Wren, maybe Ja'Kai Douglas as well, and Webb as well. So, I mean, that running back group is really stacked. So even if a guy does go down with an injury, you can put another guy who's very versatile right in his place. I think Florida State did a good job adding Corey Wren and Webb before the February signing period.
I would be remiss if I did not mention 2 guys. You already said Corbin, who I think that eventually will be the guy. I don't have faith in LeBourne doing what needs to get done. I just don't. And then don't sleep on Philly. He's
Forgot about him.
He's not
so many guys.
I was gonna state that it is ridiculous. And what the crazy thing is, we didn't get to see him during the spring, or we would have noticed a lot of these guys. But I think a lot of people are missing on these guys. It's expected. We didn't have a spring, but man,
Sheffield started the bowl game, so I mean, you've still got a walk-on down there at 7 or 8 in the rotation who can contribute if you need to get that far down.
And the other walk-on Ward, who I think is better than Sheffield, who played in the bowl game.
They both look good.
He averaged 7.5 yards a carry. And that was a guy who turned down lower Division I offers to come and be a walk-on at Florida State. So you have 8 guys now who can play for you.
Which is, I mean, no big deal. I mean, that's 8. Like Nate just said, that's 8 cats that that I think not. They have just a different kind of. Each have their own kind of talent to them on their tandem. Like there's multiple tandems that you could even use in different schemes. It's kind of ridiculous. We just haven't been able to see them, and we're used to seeing them in practice and maybe getting some nuggets here and there and inside, then go into a spring game and watching that and seeing like, oh, okay, so he's most certainly going to play some games. You'll go to a spring game and say, oh, all right, homeboy is going to be playing in the fall, but we just haven't had that in the spring. So there's so much talent back there in that backfield, and it goes to show, Norvell is really plugged it up where it looked really like a problem whenever Florida State was heading into the Arizona State game. And now look at it now. Nate just said 8 players. There's a lot of talent back there for whoever the quarterback's going to be next season. This next question is going to come from True_Nole22 from the Discord. Asks, who has the best chance to be an impact freshman? Pretty good question here.
Out of the whole class, I would say I narrow it down to 5 guys. Number 1, I put Chubba Purdy. Chubba Purdy's coming in to be a starter. I think that's going to be an interesting competition as the season goes on. Demore Tate, who I thought was a top cornerback in the country last year. He's going to take someone's job. Steven Dix, like you said earlier, he's going to bust your head. Corey Wren, just a guy who's just that dynamic in the open field, who can take a little crease and he's gone. And then Ja'Kai Douglas, who I think both those guys are a little interchangeable. They can play in the slot and they can play special teams. They can play, that third down back. They can play running back. So I think those are 2 guys who are going to play special teams and be a mismatch that Norvell will create for them.
And yeah, adding on to those guys, 2 guys I'll bring up real quick. I don't know if you said DJ Lundy or not, but
no.
He's not going to start or anything next year, but I definitely think we'll see a couple hits where we're like, all right, this kid could really be something in the future. And another guy, people don't usually get all hyped up for punters, but Alex Maschermano coming in, the punter from down under. I've seen some of the videos from him, and man, that kid has a rocket as a leg. And Florida State's really struggled a bit in the punting game over the last couple of seasons. Haven't really been able to stretch field position as much as they'd like to. And I think that could change with this kid.
Yeah, it's a different sound coming off his foot.
Mm-hmm. Austin, do you have any incoming freshmen you got an eye on? Making sure you're still awake. This is just kind of like a wake-up call to make sure you're not
Scotty
playing Call of
Barnes.
Duty. Wait, actually, hey, they didn't say football or basketball. Is Austin still awake?
Austin's mic is on mute.
Austin's waiting for basketball questions. So, like I said, he needs to get in the back cave, and once he starts getting some basketball questions, then they'll be there. Although he might be disconnected, I don't know. For me, I don't know if you guys noted on it. I'm reading Twitter over here, but Demore Tate. So we were seeing a lot of some uprise of him in camps a little bit near the end of his recruitment. And Florida. The thing is, though, Florida State's defensive backfield is pretty loaded. They always bring in talent and whatnot. But like Dustin said with Lundy, he might not be a starter right off the bat, but I think he's going to create an impact and a lot of competitiveness from the back of behind the scenes. I think he's got just a good body for his frame as a DB, and I think he's going to be kind of like a guy that comes in as a young cat. The older guys are like, okay, he's kind of got an edge on us. He's got the talent, and he's going to create good competition. And once fall starts, so he's kind of a quiet guy too. We don't hear much from him, also. So a guy to keep an eye on heading into the fall. All right, here we go. This is from definitely not Josh Newberg. So we have Buddy Elliott and Josh Newberg in here. We need answers from these 2 guys. But definitely not Josh Newberg from the Discord asks, do we land a 5-star recruit this cycle?
No. Not unless Luke Altmaier gets a huge bump. Not unless they bump Destin Payson. Not unless something happens, they land Arnold or they fix the situation with Trigg. I do think Keon Coleman is someone that will eventually be a 5-star receiver. That would be the 5 that you would consider, but they're not going to land a 5-star in the trenches. They're not going to land a 5-star linebacker. They're done pretty much there. Minus, we've talked about that ad nauseum in Discord. So, but I don't see it. And that's not to say that the class would be a bust without a 5-star, because one thing that Norvell and the does well is they evaluate damn well. So a guy who's a 4-star, maybe a 5-star in their system. So
perfect.
You think Brandon Jennings could potentially get boosted up to a 5-star?
Nah. I think there's some questions on his speed on the next level. And I think that there's some questions on if he's a tweener in terms of being a linebacker or DN. So, I don't think he'll be a guy who buffs up. I'll pump up my on Concrete Talk side again, and we have him close to a 5-star. We like him in terms of what he brings to the table, but you do have to question the speed a little bit. A 5-star linebacker's got to be able to flash more than he does.
The last question on the Discord is from True_Nole22 asks, with Manny Rogers going the JUCO route, does that open up one more spot in this recruiting class?
Absolutely. I think it makes getting Levet even more impactful for Florida State, because now they signed one D tackle in 2 years, which is, those numbers are going to go very lopsided very quickly. They have a lot of bodies there if you look at the depth chart, but they don't have people 2 to 3 years on the road, and that's where Manny Rogers could have came in and been helpful. And signing one is not good enough in any year. I think you always have to take 2 to 3 defensive tackles, because, like offensive line, like Dustin said earlier, there's a high bust rate. A lot of guys get injured. Just look at Florida State and what they've had attrition-wise there over the last 2 to 4 years. So, absolutely. And I would use that spot for a D tackle, whether it's JUCO or from high school.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple interesting targets on the board. Maybe Chambray Jackson moves inside at the next level. There's Marquise Robinson, who some have said is a Florida State lean. And then there's also Tyrion Ingram Dawkins out of South Carolina, another 4-star defensive tackle. So there's some talent on the board. I think Norvell and Odell will be able to sell the message that Florida State used to be able to sell and get some elite defensive linemen coming back into Tallahassee.
One guy I really like at D tackle, I know some are looking at him as an offensive lineman, is Cameron Ball from Georgia. He is, go watch this film. He's a guy who gets after it. I think he's better as a D tackle. I think that's someone I would like FSU to be able to get in and land him in their class, because he's a monster. Well, go watch this film if you haven't, Dustin.
6'5", 290 pounds.
Yep.
Well, we're nearing the 2 hour mark. We're trying to make sure Austin's still awake. Are you awake, Austin?
Yeah, can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, you're back in. We couldn't hear you a little bit ago, but you're back in.
That's good. I don't know what happened. I wasn't even on mute. Skype just messed up or something.
Don't worry, we were talking about recruiting, so you didn't miss out on much.
Yeah, no.
Didn't miss out on too much. But since you're back, we're rolling into the last segment of the podcast. We've run through everything. This is probably going to be one of our longest podcasts in a little while, but we're running into our bad dad jokes. Like Dustin and Austin always advise, we probably suggest you, if you want to move on and kind of end the podcast now, we suggest it too, but we're kind of probably going to head into a PG-13 / rated R section. So yeah, this is going to be our dirty dad jokes section to end out the podcast, kind of get away from sports and everything that we talked about for the last hour and a half to 2 hours. And Austin usually comes in clutch. This is where his talent comes through. The Tinder game, he's got to have good jokes. This is where Austin really shows his true talent, not through 3-pointers during March Madness, during warm-ups. Dirty dad jokes is where he comes through.
It's not always dirty ones, but I have I have a couple here and there.
What happened to the trivia?
Well, here's the deal, Dustin. We're nearing probably, if that were to run into a 2.5 hour podcast, almost 3 hours.
How long do you think this trivia is gonna last? I'll win quick. Come on.
Well, if you run it through, let's run through the dad jokes and then we'll do trivia.
I want to take the lead. It's 6-6.
Oh, that is true. That is true. All right, so give us some bad dad jokes, Austin, and then Dustin will roll through.
I mean, with all the riots, all the looters, there's been a lot going on. It's been rumored that a man has been stealing wheels off of police cars, and the police have been working tirelessly to catch him.
Tirelessly. I love how Dustin's probably violently hitting his keyboard to find a dirty joke because he's not even on.
I'm not saying a dirty joke.
Yeah, you are.
I've got a joke.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, you gotta impress Nate on here. Nate is actually a dad. Nate is actually a dad, so he needs to be. So yeah, this is our daddy joke segment at the end of every joke. Well, go ahead, give it to us.
What did the fish say when he walked into a wall? Damn.
What? All right. Okay. Okay. Oh Jesus, we might need to dismiss this segment. Have any of these made you laugh?
No.
They're not supposed to make you laugh.
Okay, I've got one. Why isn't there a pregnant Barbie doll? Ken came in another box.
I got one.
Whoa! Nate's gonna unload.
Here we go.
Nate told us earlier in the what?
What?
No, Nate told us in the producer meeting that he wasn't gonna partake in this, but I guess he's got some jokes to throw in there.
What does a sign on a out of business brothel say?
Okay, I'm sorry. Repeat that.
What does a sign on an out of business brothel say?
Don't know.
God.
Beat it, we're closed.
That was bad.
Get it?
It's not too bad. Not too bad.
That's pretty good.
What do you call an IT teacher who touches the students?
What is that?
A PDF file. Get it? PDF?
Oh,
no.
my God.
Oh, that's cool.
We need to make sure Nate goes to bed. Oh my God.
Yeah,
so we're heading that way, huh? We're heading that way. Austin, can you head us anywhere near that department? We're heading to rated R section.
Yeah, actually.
Okay. Austin knows. Tender game. Here we go.
Yeah. No, actually, a couple weeks ago, the lesbians next door gave me a Rolex, and I think they misunderstood me when they said I want to watch.
That's good.
Okay. All right. What we're doing. This is better. This is better than usual. Here we go. You ready? What do you get when you jingle Santa's balls? A white Christmas.
Oh God.
Oh, see now, Nate, this is what we do on the podcast here. We kind of get everybody like, oh, this is a pretty good podcast. I'm going to keep listening to it. And then we ended off with this. And they're like, okay, never listen to this again. Yeah. It's a great business tactic. It works out very well. But we got too deep into the questions and everything. We need to have a little bit more fun here. Dustin, you've been really quiet. Usually Dustin comes through, but it's been very quiet lately. Huh?
I don't have any dirty ones, man. I was playing nice tonight.
Were you really?
Yeah,
All right, tell us
this one is shitty.
go ahead and give it to us since you're embarrassing yourself.
All right. Why did the man dump ground beef on his head? Because he wanted a meteor shower.
I don't know.
Alrighty. Oh man. Wow.
I got one more dad joke.
All right.
I actually told this to my oldest the other day, and she looked at me like I was dumb.
Okay.
You want to hear a joke about construction?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still working on it.
You're added in with Dustin right now. You're still added into it with Dustin. Oh man, Austin, you got one more before we run into FSU trivia to end off the podcast.
I've been looking. I'm out of bookmarks. I've been looking.
Oh yeah.
Or I've at least been looking for a dirty one. I've got a couple clean ones, but.
You are a rated G kind of guy.
I mean, sometimes.
I got a good one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What's the difference between a tire and 365 used condoms?
Okay. Oh, no.
One's a good year. The other's a great year.
I knew Dustin would come to that. That's the hardest work he's done on his keyboard since Followed the Follows a couple hours ago today. Wow. And good stuff there from Dustin Lewis, our lead writer and editor.
I knew I could come in with what the people want.
That could also be a good dad joke, but I don't know if you used it or not. Austin, you got one more before you jump into FSU trivia? What do you got? Anything?
I've been looking. I mean, this one's not bad. Someone asked us on Twitter, why did the chicken cross the road? So, in a similar frame of mind, why did the sperm cross the road?
Why did the sperm cross the road, Austin?
That put on the wrong socks.
Oh. Bro, listen to this one. This one's nasty. How does a woman scare a gynecologist by becoming a ventriloquist?
Wow.
The mental imagery of that got me.
Yeah.
Nate's back here laughing his ass off silently. No, Nate's been laughing. Don't let him get away with it. He's been laughing. Oh, man. All right, so that's it. We're going to cut this off. We're letting too many good jokes come out of the bag because we're on 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let's run into FSU trivia. Right now, it's Austin versus Dustin 6-6. Nate is going to be able to come through and get his take on it too. But I'm actually going to go back and throw back previous questions from a podcast that these two have answered. They should know what the answers. This is where people get embarrassed. And welcome to Hear the Spear. Welcome to the Austin and Dustin show.
Welcome. One of the really stupid ones.
Yeah.
I'm going to start off easy. Here we go. You ready, Nate, Austin, and Dustin?
Sure.
All right. What year did Brian Stork win the Dave Remington Trophy?
2012.
2013.
2013.
2013 is correct. Everybody's right. Okay. We move on to stage number 2.
Nate, you can't answer first, man. You can't give him the answer.
Uh-oh. Nate's got his...
here we go.
Wait, no. Hey, we're back. Nate has lost his zapping. We're back. Okay. Next question is...
Maybe?
I'm not allowed to answer.
Oh no, you're Dustin
just answer. Dustin thinks I copies everyone's answers when I'm really just smarter than him and wait for him to answer.
That's because then you're copying.
Heard.
The tailgate should be really fun this year. Anyways, the Manning Award. In what year did Jameis Winston win this as the best quarterback?
13.
Nate?
13.
13 is correct. 13 is correct.
I thought it was 2012.
Shut up.
Someone, I don't know what to get him in. Water's not going to help. All right, here we go.
Doritos.
Here we go. A little bit more intense. And like I said, Austin and Dustin know the answers to these. So if they embarrass themselves here publicly, then it is what it is. And
It wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, we know. And what
Just
year
the
did?
bad jokes.
Yeah, exactly. And what year did Graham Gano?
Graham.
It's like near 2 hours. Like I said, Natty Ice. When are we gonna get the promotion here? Anyways,
Graham.
what year did Graham Gano win the Lou Groza Award for the best kicker in the country? What year was it?
I was gonna guess 8 as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's 2008.
Okay, 2008 is the answer. Wow, everybody's on a roll right now. Here we go. In what year did Dalvin Cook win the Jim Brown Award for the best running back in the country?
Oh, I remember you asking this. Oh my god.
2015.
Yeah, I think it's 15 because he was hurt more in 16.
Mm-hmm.
1, 0. What's your answer, Dustin?
2015.
2015 is the answer, Dalvin Cook. Okay, here we go. Let's get to past history on here. We have a couple of the older Noles listening. So here we go. 1999. In what year did Peter Warrick win the Paul Warfield Award for the best wide receiver in the country?
Just said it.
98.
5 seconds.
99.
4.
99.
Yeah, 98. I know one.
I'm
I think
going
last time
98.
I think last time I said 2000.
What do we got? What do we got, everybody?
That's why it's 99.
Holy smokes. If I heard it correctly, Dustin might be the solo guy here. Dustin is the only one that said 1999. Nate and Austin said 1998. Peter Warrick won the award in 1999. Dustin takes a 7-6 lead.
Guys, Logan said the answer when he read the question.
Wow. Did I really, though? I mean,
the first thing you said before you said the question, you're like 1999. What year did Peter Warrick win the I'm like 1999.
Yeah, I did. Here's the deal. Nate and Austin just weren't listening to me. I can't believe.
I never do.
Austin, we need to talk after the podcast.
I kind of figured they, the media just screwed him over in 99 after Dillard, so.
Yeah.
Got some.
I always get my Dillard's things mixed up.
He didn't have a way better year. He had a way better year in 98.
Yeah, he did.
Not way better, but better.
Wow. So that's it. So I can't believe all of this. That is a complete Storybook. Hornibrook, sorry, we were talking about him earlier where he should never even seen the field. Storybook potential right there where Dustin just took the lead 7-6. I'm writing that down right now.
It was 6-4, and since then.
Wow, Dustin.
I told you tonight I was coming for revenge on all fronts, Austin.
Damn.
Since then you've gotten a multiple choice, a rehash of a question where he gave you the answer, I just didn't want to pay attention, and a numbers uniforms question where he gave you questions on the roster.
I'm good at making up excuses too, bro.
I'm just saying.
Hey, like I said, y'all handle that in the Discord DMs. That's a new wave.
I'm just saying, all it says is Dustin 7, Austin 6.
And it's gonna say Austin 66, Dustin 7 by the end of the year, or whatever. How many of our podcasts we do?
It's 1:33 a.m.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna have to turn his webcam on next time.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the end of this episode. I think this has been possibly our longest episode. I can't wait to be up till probably 2 a.m. editing this. But we appreciate.
What do you mean, bro? It's Wednesday at noon. Or wait, Tuesday at noon.
Hey, our days are mixed up. We're here in the middle of the night. God knows what day it is. What day did I say it was?
It was supposed to be Tuesday,
Yeah,
but I guess it's Monday night.
Yeah, no, it's
It's fucking late is what it is.
exactly.
Yeah, and I want to go to bed because I got to go to work. Assholes.
Yeah, all right. Dawson, I'll see you in the DMs. But yeah, for the rest of this episode, thank you a lot for listening. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified every time we release a new episode. We really appreciate Nate Greer coming on here. He's our lead recruiting insider. He's doing a great job for us and also killing it on the Discord. We really suggest you guys to go join that. If you want inside information, it's free right now. Go check it out. And we hope to have Nate on here quite a bit more to cover recruiting because that's pretty much during the offseason, that's all everybody talks about and cares about. So we definitely appreciate Nate coming out here.
Yep.
And Austin and Dustin, we'll just see you next week. But anyways, as always, see you guys in a few, and hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you rate it 5 stars. I'm gonna screw up. It's 2 a.m. It's 2 a.m. Make sure you rate the podcast 5 stars on iTunes. It really helps a lot. And leave a review. And we will see you guys next week on Hear the Spear. See you guys.
Bye. Who knows?